a thing called moral authority. I got a bit of cracker caught in the back of my throat. Gluten-free option to have those crackers. But man, they get caught in my throat. I hope that helps. Remember the nobles? Nehemiah had this thing called moral authority, and it set him apart from the rest. Now remember a few weeks ago we spoke about these nobles, the nobles and the city officials, and they refused to work on the wall when everyone else was working on the wall. They just kept up with their business plans and they were running them, and there was a drought that had hit through the land. And what the nobles had done, the city officials, when the drought hit the land, they went and bought up all the food that was at the markets. They bought all the grain and they stored it. And the drought had really started to bite. And they're now on selling it to people. And when they sold it at exorbitant prices. A bit like a lettuce at the moment. Have you noticed how expensive a lettuce is? So hunger will drive people to do crazy things and pay exorbitant prices. It was years ago I went on a missions trip to Southeast Asia. And it was a long time ago. Nick came with me. It was prior to him being on staff here. And I'd never flown Jetstar before in my life. Got on the plane, I was really hungry. And I went on the plane starving. I thought, that's okay, they'll feed me. I get on the plane and there's no food coming my way. So I get the menu out. I go, I gotta eat. And I'm looking there and it goes, a meat pie was $10. At the time I could buy one from the bakery for $2. So I said, there's no way in the world I'm paying $10 for a meat pie. 8 hours into that journey, I paid $10 for a half-cold meat pie. Hunger will get you to do crazy things, but the hunger they faced was, what happened to me was magnified many, many, many times over for the people of Jerusalem. They were working on the wall. Food became so expensive that the good folk were having to mortgage their farms, to purchase the food back that they'd already sold. And those that didn't have farms, they had to put their wives up for surety, their kids up for surety. And here was the deal. When it came time to repay the loan, which was an exorbitant interest rate, if they didn't pay it back in full, their wife and their children were being sold into slavery. Farms were being repossessed. So the rich people, the nobles who would work on the wall, they were just cleaning up. They were accumulating wealth at an exponential rate. The people's morals in the land, just the general feeling of the land, was just sinking so low. Nehemiah has a vision for the nation. He says, for the entire 12 years that I was governor of Judah. Now here's a point to make. Nehemiah was not voted in as a governor. He was not an elected official. King Xerxes was a dictator of the world, of the Persian Empire. Jerusalem was an outpost, a part of its territory, and he just appointed him. And he had legal authority over the people. When he said jump, everyone had to jump. When he said sit, everyone had to sit. But have you noticed? If all you have is legal authority, the moment you say stop jumping and turn your back, they stop jumping. Or the moment you turn your back on someone after you tell them to stop jumping, they just stop jumping. Nehemiah had something far more influential than legal authority. He had influence. Now listen to me. I don't know who you are or where you go in life. What I do know is your influence will take you places that legal authority cannot take you. Your influence is a funny thing. It's really hard to define. And it's even harder to describe. But you know when someone has it and when you know when someone else doesn't have it. There are stacks of things that increase influence. Wealth is one. If you're rich like Clive Palmer, you can buy up every bit of airtime on TV and just ram down people's throat your message and buy some influence. But even that didn't seem to work too well, did it? There are other people, they have a position, like the Queensland Premier and the Police Commissioner. Just because of their position, it's just a matter of time before a reporter will put a microphone in their face and say, tell us what's happening. Just their position gives them a microphone. It gives them influence. If you achieve greatness in sport or as an actor, you'll gain a lot of influence. You'll get paid to advertise a breakfast cereal that you may not even like. You may have never even eaten it, but just because you're good at something, they'll want to purchase your influence. Your boss, he has a certain amount of influence over you. He or she pays you, and you have to kind of do what they tell you to do because they're paying you, and if you don't do what they tell you to do, they'll sack you. So they have a certain amount of influence. But the people that have the most influence in your life, probably not your boss. They probably don't wear a uniform. They probably don't have a title. They probably don't have any legal authority or leverage over you. They don't need it. And yet, we feel drawn to certain people that have this sense of authority, a sense of influence over us. There's something going for them, and I call that thing moral authority. Every successful mum and dad has moral authority in their life. It's the alignment of a person's life with their convictions. The alignment of a person's life with their convictions. I would go so far as to say, without moral authority, whatever influence you have will be very short-lived. Nothing compensates for a lack of moral authority. No amount of persuasion, no amount of wealth, no amount of sporting prowess, no education, no position can make up for a lack of moral authority. We've seen the United Kingdom have just changed their Prime Minister in the process. Why? Because they sensed there was a lack of moral authority. And regardless of all these great things he was doing and achievements he had, because of a lack of a moral authority, his entire party have deserted him. And the same thing happens to us when we lack moral authority. People will desert us. We all know people who have these qualities. We all know people who have, talents, but there are people that have incredible moral authorities, and yet they have no power as to make us do things. And I know people that have very minimal influence. And the reason they have minimal influence is a contradiction between what they claim to be and what we perceive them to be in life. Here's another thing about moral authority. It's really fragile. It can take a lifetime to earn. It can be lost in a second. And once it's lost, it's almost impossible to regain. Now, last time we looked at Nehemiah, he challenged these most powerful people, these nobles in their community, about the way they used their wealth to take advantage of the workers. And when Nehemiah finished with them, they left with their tails wagging between their legs, and they apologized, they returned what they had taken, and they went away. He tells us, this is what Nehemiah said, they had nothing to say in their defense. How is it that these wealthy people, they were making incredible wealth, they were really cleaning up, they were power hungry, the city officials, they're making record profits on short-term loans, and why did they immediately back down and agree to mend their ways after just one confrontation with Nehemiah? I'll tell you why. Nehemiah had something going for him that was far more powerful than a big stick. He had moral authority. By the way, Nehemiah's moral authority didn't come because King Xerxes said, you're the governor. It was 12 years in the making. When Nehemiah arrived in Jerusalem, he was in a long, long line of governors that had been there before him. And the Persian government gave them the authority to oversee that territory. Previous governors made themselves rich at the expense of the people. Nehemiah had the right, had the precedent to set a level of taxation that the people had to pay to him. He had the right to take a healthy percentage of every crop that would just go into his warehouse for him. But he never did it. He made a decision that I'm not going to get wealthy from the people, I'm just going to serve the people. I'm not going to use the people to meet my ends, I'm going to lay my life down and serve the people. And when he did that, he set himself apart from every predecessor who'd ever been there before. No one could ever accuse him, oh, Nehemiah, the only reason you're here is you're in it for the money. No one could say that about Nehemiah. Nehemiah's lifestyle not only challenged the nation, it rallied the nation. So let's get into this. For the entire 12 years that I was the governor of Judah, from the 20th year to the 32nd year in the reign of King Xerxes, neither I nor my officials drew on our official food allowance. The former governors, in contrast, had laid heavy burdens on the people, demanding a daily ration of food and wine, besides 40 pieces of silver. Even their assistants took advantage of the people. But because I feared God, I did not act that way. I also devoted myself to working on the wall and refused to acquire any land. And I required all my servants to spend time working on the wall. I asked for nothing, even though I regularly fed 150 Jewish officials at my table, besides all the visitors from other lands. The provisions I paid for each day included 1 ox, 6 choice sheep or goats, and a large number of poultry. That at KFC apparently. And every 10 days we needed a large supply of all kinds of wines. Yet I refused to claim the governor's food allowance because the people already carried a heavy burden. Remember, oh my God, all that I have done for these people, and bless me for it. No wonder the city officials broke the back down. Think about it. Nehemiah could have done what every other city official had done before him. Yet he went out of his way not to place any hardship on the people. The city officials had no right to do what they were doing. They were breaking the law. They placed hardship on the people. Now, just for a recap, a lot of Jews, a lot of the citizens of Judah, had before Nehemiah turned up, been sold into slavery. And when Nehemiah turned up, he used his own wealth to buy them back and set them free. And yet, with a very short period of time, they're being sold back into slavery because the nobles were doing it again. Can you imagine how embarrassing it would have been to face Nehemiah having done what they had done? His lifestyle shamed them. It was not Nehemiah's position that gave him leverage over the city's officials. It was his moral authority. By the way, moral authority is not a way of getting people to do what you want them to do. People who are driven by the desire to get what they want rarely maintain moral authority. The foundation of greatness has never been trying to get your own way. True greatness comes from giving your life away. Jesus said, if you want to find life, lose your life, give it away. Serve people. That's how you lose your life, serve other people. But you watch, there are some people who will give nothing away, they'll hold on, and you watch, they will lose their life. And we see that in life. That's what Nehemiah did. Now, Nehemiah didn't wake up one morning and go, you know what I'm going to do? Gain my rights as governor, and in the process gain a whole lot of influence over people. He did what he did because he feared God and wanted to please God. We're told in verse 15 that he acted out of reverence for God, and that's how he acted. No one gets moral authority by accident. There's some tests you have to pass to get moral authority. Nehemiah passed 3. We're not about to look at them. And here's the thing about these tests. If you get 2 out of 3, you'll pass most tests in life. But when it comes to moral authority, if you don't get 3 out of 3, you will lose whatever moral authority you have in life. You've got to get them all right. Test number 1. There will come a time when you reach a fork in the road. And in this fork in the road, if you veer to the left, you will get to chase after your God-given dream, the vision you have for your life. A vision that you feel that God's in. But if you veer to the other way, if you veer to the right, not to the left, well, you'll do the right thing. It's just you can't go in 2 directions at the one time. So it'll be like, do I chase the God dream, the vision I have for my life, or do I do the right thing? I think King David gives us an illustration of this. You see, there'll come a time in your life where your dream will clash with ethics. David, shepherd boy. This prophet rolls up at his house and goes, got some news for you, David. He goes, what is it, God? He goes, I rejected Saul as king. You are the next king. This is your God-appointed vision for your life. You're to be the king. And God's hand was on David, and he did incredible exploits and incredible things. So much so that Saul could see that God's hand had lifted off him and had gone on David. And Saul loved being a king. He loved being a celebrity. He loved all the perks and the servants and the wealth and the power. He didn't want to stop being king. So he came up with a plan. He goes, I can see that God doesn't want me to be king, but if I kill his replacement, God will have to put up with me being the king. So he puts wanted posters up everywhere for David, a bounty on his head, and he spends a couple of years, several years, chasing David all over the countryside. There's one day David's being chased around the countryside. David's hiding in the fields, and he hears word that Saul's close by. So David goes with a few of his men, and he hides in a cave. Saul's a king, and he gets this urge, he has to go to the toilet. And a lot of the men just went to the toilet out in the fields, but he's the king. I don't want to be seen by people. So he goes, I'm going to have a bit of privacy. And he dismounts his horse and he goes into the very cave that David's hiding in. He walks in there and David's men see it. And they go, David, God has just placed Saul in your hand. God's plan and purpose for your life is to be the king of Israel. This man is a murderous man. God's lifted his hand off him, and he's a bad egg. God's delivered him into your hands. Take him out. That's God's plan. David's got a fork in the road. Will I chase the dream that he has for me? Or will I break an ethic and murder a man? So Saul squats down, and David is so close, he cuts a bit of his tassel of his garment off. And his men are egging him on. Do it. Do it. This is not murder, David. This is self-defense. He's out there trying to take you out. This is self-defense. But it was murder. The biggest lie you'll ever believe is the one you tell yourself. So David chose to let Saul live and walk out of that cave. He said, if I'm ever going to become king, it's not going to come out of me breaking ethics and murdering a man. God will give me the kingship. It's amazing in times like that how we can come up with little stories to justify what we want to do. David said, I will not touch this man. The Lord gave him the position. If God wants me king, he'll remove him from the position. The point is, you've got to be willing to maintain moral authority, even if it costs you your God-given dream. Well, that leads me to test number 2. Not only going to be tempted to throw away your integrity, sometimes the pressure will come to tempt you to take a shortcut. The power of this shortcut, it appears to be a way of speeding up this vision that God gave you. And waiting can be a hard thing to do. Shortcuts. Words spin around in your head like this. It's God's will for your life. And God doesn't want you to waste your one life and just sit around and do nothing. You've got to make this happen. So he's given you this shortcut. It's just attached to the shortcut will be a moral or ethical compromise. They always lead to moral authority. They lead to a loss of moral authority. Nehemiah faces a dilemma. He knows about all these crooked deals that are being done by the city officials and they're hurting so many people. He also knows that the same group of people, they got a lot of power. They got a lot of influence. These are the officials. They could run me out of town. If I get on the wrong side of them, life's going to be hard for me. Their wealth gave them leverage. They have the power to bring the reconstruction of the wall to a halt. But right is right, wrong is wrong. Nehemiah could not in good conscience ignore what they were doing. He couldn't turn his back on the injustice for the sake of getting the wall built. So you know what he does? He tells everyone, stop the job. I want everyone to gather for an assembly. I mean, this is not a shortcut he's taking, it's a long cut. The wall was going up. But he said, this is such a big issue that we're going to drop tools and have a gathering and have a talk. So everyone drops tools, they gather an assembly, and he says, guys, we need to address this issue. Let's forget about Nehemiah for a second. Let's talk about you and me. Here's a question I want to put to you next time you're in that fork in the road, and there's the God-given dream, or there's an ethical blockage, an ethical thing, you're being tempted to do something you kind of know it's not right. Would God want me to embrace that vision? Would God want me to embrace that vision if it means that I'm going to do something that he forbids? Let me put it to you another way. Would you do that thing that you're about to do if your wife, if your husband, if your son or your daughter were standing right beside you? Would you do it then? A lot of the things we do that are wrong ethically, we do it because no one's watching. But someone is watching, God's watching. And would you do it if your husband was with you? Would you do it if your wife was with you? Would you do it if your son was with you? Would you do it if your daughter was with you? I have a little challenge because everyone goes to bed early at our house, but I stay up Friday nights late. I go to the prayer meeting. I'm all hardwired, so I like to stay up till about 11:30. But when something comes on TV, I always ask myself this question: would I watch that if my daughter was sitting beside me? And I very quickly turn a lot of things off just by asking myself, would I watch that with my wife? My wife, she's so strict. There's 2 swear words. Turn that off. She won't let me watch a cowboy. It's too bloodthirsty. She thinks John Wayne movies are bad. So that man's in heaven, I'm sure. Your moral authority is your greatest asset. It's the greatest asset you will ever have in life. He put it all on hold. It's my conviction that few people in the 20th century had more moral authority than Billy Graham and Mother Teresa. This morning I want to talk to you a little bit about Mother Teresa. She had a very clear vision. She never asked anyone to do something that she hadn't already done. Mind you, she had a lot of critics. Her theology was attacked a lot, but never her character. Her vision was to start an order of nuns whose sole purpose was to care for those who lived in conditions unworthy of human dignity. In 1950, Mother Teresa's vision became a reality on the streets of Calcutta. The purpose was to seek out and care for the poor, the abandoned and the sick. And in 1952, she was given permission to take a section of an abandoned Hindu temple and to use that section to care for the poor and the dying. And the Hindu priests in India were really uncomfortable with the work she was doing. And a missionary organisation going to their land, they didn't like it. And they petitioned city authorities and they said, you've got to relocate the hospice away from where we are. On one occasion, priests from the temple let a large delegation, a demonstration happen, and they went right to where she was doing her work. And they were chanting and yelling and screaming, and this little 4'11" Albanian nun went up and she spoke to the entire demonstration. And this is what she said. She said, if you want to kill me, here I am. You can merely behead me if you want, but do not disturb my poor patients. Well, they backed away and left, and sometime later, it came to Mother Teresa's attention that one of those priests that led that demonstration, he was dying from tuberculosis. And in India, the healthcare system only treats people they can treat. And so there was no hospital bed for him, and he was sent home to just die in his home. And he's got tuberculosis, and he's just in incredible pain. Mother Teresa went to his door and said, come, I will personally take care of you. And she took him to her hospice, the guy that led the demonstration. And she personally cared for him, and she nursed him herself. When he died, she personally took him back to the Hindu temple so they could bury him the way they wanted to. That's her captured the hearts of the people of Calcutta. That the theological and cultural walls that separated her from the people she wanted to serve, they just washed away like a kid's sandcastle with an oncoming tide. Throughout her life, her main credential was her moral authority. On the 3rd of February 1997, she went to Washington, D.C., went to the White House, and she was asked to be the speaker for the National Prayer Breakfast in Washington, D.C. Now, it's at the Hilton Hotel. There's about 300 people in attendance. By tradition, the president, Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, are there. Al Gore is there. There are dozens of important people. And she stepped up onto this little platform for the podium because she was so short. Everyone claps and cheers for her, and they're excited about her being there. And then she took a speech in her hands and she read it with a soft singing voice. Now, something I've discovered about all prayer breakfasts is people don't pray at them. They say grace, that's about it. So I don't go to our city prayer breakfast. They don't pray at it. I want to go to prayer breakfast. I want to hear prayer. But it's a diverse group. There's Christians there from all different ranges, all different brands. There's Muslims, there's Jews, there's atheists, there's agnostics, there's reporters, there's bureaucrats, there's waiters and diplomats. I want to read to you an excerpt from her speech. This is what she said. I can never forget the experience I had. This is Mother Teresa speaking, not me. I can never forget the experience I had of the sitting room. She's just recently visited an American old people's home. I can never forget the experience I had in the sitting room where they kept all these old parents of sons and daughters who had just put them in an institution and forgotten them. Maybe I saw that in the home that these old people had everything: good food, comfortable place, television, everything. But everyone was looking towards the door, and I did not see a single one with a smile on their face. I turned to the sister, the nurse, and asked, why do these people have every comfort here? Why do they look towards the door? Why aren't they smiling? I'm used to seeing smiles on our people Even the dying ones smile. And the sister said, oh, it's that way nearly every day. They're hoping that their son or their daughter will come and visit them. They hurt because they have forgotten. She continued, she said, but I feel the greatest destroyer of peace today is abortion. Because Jesus said, if you receive a little child, you receive me. So every abortion is a denial of receiving Jesus, the neglect of receiving Jesus. Silence broke out in that meeting for about 1.3 seconds. Then applause started on the right-hand side of the room, and it slowly spread and deepened, and it was swept. Everyone in the room was applauding. Everyone, for a few minutes, except the president and the first lady. They were like statues in Madame Tussauds Wax Museum. They just had smiles on their faces, but they dared not clap. They glistened in the lights, but moved not a muscle. Looking at the speaker in the determinedly semi-pleasant way. Mother Teresa is not perhaps schooled in the ways of the world capitals, and perhaps did not know that having known her said a piece and won the applause of people, she should now go and speak about things that people are in agreement on. And instead she said this, abortion is really a war against the child. And I hate the killing of innocent children, murder by a mother herself. And if we accept that a mother can kill even her own child, how can we tell people not to kill one another? Any country that accepts abortion is teaching its people not to love one another, but to use violence to get what they want. That is why the greatest destroyer of love and peace is abortion. I will accept them. She didn't seem even to notice or care, yet when she finished the speech, it was a standing ovation, and she left as she entered silently through a parted curtain. She could do this because she had moral authority. As followers of Christ, it's so important that we continue to develop and maintain moral authority. We have been called to influence, and the world is watching. Christ didn't commission us to tell people how they should live. He called us to influence by the way we live, so that people would want to have what we have. That takes us to test number 3, sacrifice. Sacrifice. A vision by its very nature will require that a sacrifice is made. And a sacrifice will mean often the resources are not there, but yet we're called to make the sacrifice. Anyone who champions a vision has to be willing to step up to the plate and demonstrate that they are willing to make a massive sacrifice. And making a sacrifice for the sake of your vision is like letting go of the side of a rink when you're learning to ice skate. It's scary. You've got to move into the center of the ice. Untested devotion does little to move the hearts of others. But once you demonstrate your commitment to personal sacrifice for the sake of a cause, your potential influence escalates exponentially. Peggy Noonan wrote a column many years ago in a Crisis magazine, February 1, 1998. It spoke of a time when she was in college, university. As Simon was to prepare a speech to persuade, the topic was diverse, from selling products to defending Christianity. There was a girl in their class, and if I could have the singers and musicians up, that would be great. There was a girl in their class. She said she was a little older than us. She's like 18, 19. She was like 23 or 24. She'd made it known that she was a Christian. And she chose to speak on the merits of her pro-life position. Peggy says there was so much tension in that room today in that theatre. And a great deal of the argument was from a religious perspective. And as you can imagine, the class was diverse. It had different moral views, different religious persuasions. She went through the normal arguments against abortion. She finished by the accepted exceptions of rape, incest, and endangerment of a mother's life. She said she didn't even agree with abortion in those extreme cases. At that point, even the pro-life people were going, oh, I don't know if I can buy into what you're saying. You're going a bit extreme here. And the pro-choice people, they were just flaring at their nostrils. They were ready to attack her and rip her to shreds. After she finished making a point, she concluded by getting out a photo. She showed it to everyone in the class. She said, 2 years ago, I was raped. The rape resulted in a pregnancy. And this is my child. She was white, the child was not, a mixed race child. She introduced him by name. She said, this is my son. He is the joy of my life. And I cannot imagine living life without my boy. She then reiterated her position that she believed abortion under any circumstance was unacceptable. As she finished, the silence was deafening. Most of the other controversial speeches had been followed by more debate, but no one attacked to say. There was nothing more to say. There was no more debate. At the end of the lecture, the professor walks up and he says this, he says, the most powerful argument a speaker can make is one from personal experience. Here's the takeaway thought for today. Will your personal experience give you that moral authority? Because the way you walk out of here and live your life will give you moral authority. When you reach those forks in your life, will you choose? And it's a choice, and it's a hard choice to make. It's a real hard choice to make. But I know this. Jesus said, if you lose your life, you'll find life. And if you go after your goals and your dreams, you will lose. But if you go, no, Lord, I'll live life your way. You watch, you live God's way. He will give you blessings beyond your wildest imaginations. David, back then when he chose let Saul live, to all intents and purposes, guys go, what is wrong with you? You'll never be king. He became the greatest king that Israel ever had. The golden age of Israel was under David's reign. Because he didn't do it his way, he lived life God's way. And that's your assignment, not for this week, for life. Let's pray. Loving Father, we choose life. We choose you. We choose to take hold of that sense of moral authority that you want for us to have. Because I know you're looking for more Billy Grahams, more Mother Teresa, the everyday marketplace of life. So that people would say, I'm not convinced I want to be a Christian, but I sure do wish my boss was one. I'm not too sure if I want to follow the way of Christ. It looks like a bit of sacrifice, but I'd be so glad if my daughter married one or my son married one. Help our lights to shine so brightly that we would give glory to our Father in heaven. I pray this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. At the end of our service, we had a couple of great prayer warriors will be at the front, some of our elders. If you need prayer for anything, they'd be delighted to pray for you. I believe the youth are doing a fundraiser for a mission trip they're planning next year, and they're going to be selling toasted sandwiches out the front. So let's get behind them and support them and see Ben and the team going off somewhere exciting, taking the gospel where it's never been before. God bless.
Well, church, why don't you stand with us and we will sing this newish song again. When all foundations have been shaken, when I'm left standing in the dark, and all I feel is my heart breaking, you still reign and you're still God. And when it feels all hope has faded, heavy questions hit so hard, and though my soul may feel forsaken, you still reign and you're still God. Oh, I can't see what's before me. I know that I can trust your heart. This one truth will be my story. You still reign and you're still God. I will declare that you are with me. The voices whisper that you're not. You'll never leave me nor forsake me. 'Cause you still reign and you're still God. Oh, I can't see what's before me. I know that I can trust your heart, and this one truth will be my story. You still reign and you're still God. Though I can't see, and though I can't see what's before me, I know that I can trust your heart, and this one truth will be my story. Yes, you still reign and you're still God. And when my enemies surround me, I'll trust the victory of your cross and fix my eyes upon you, Jesus. For you are God and I am not. You are good. You are good and you are faithful, as you have been from the start. You work in all things for your glory. Yes, you still reign and you're still God. Though I can't see, and though I can't see what's before me, I know that I can trust your heart, and this one truth will be my story. You still reign and you're still God. Yes, this one truth will be my story. Yes, you still reign and you're still God. God bless you this morning. Have a fantastic week. Please stay for some fellowship as we minister out the front. God bless.
And I cannot hear your voice. I hold on to what is true, though I cannot see. If the storms of life they come, and the road ahead gets steep, I will lift these hands in faith. I will believe. I remind myself of all that you've done, and the life I have become because of your Son. Love came down and rescued me. Love came down and set me free. I am yours. I am forever yours. Mountain high or valley low, I sing out, remind my soul that I am yours. I am forever yours. When my heart is filled with hope and every promise comes my way, when I feel your hands of grace rest upon me, staying desperate for you, God, staying humbled at your feet, I will lift these hands and praise, I will believe. I remind myself of all that you've done in the life I have because of your Son. 'Cause love came down and rescued me. Love came down and set me free. I am yours. I am forever yours. Mountain high or valley low, I sing out, remind my soul that I am yours. I am forever yours. 'Cause love came down and rescued me. Love came down and set me free. I am yours. I am forever yours. Mountain high or valley low, I sing out, remind my soul that I am yours. I am forever yours.
Though the darkness hides thee,
I am yours. I am yours. For all my days, Jesus, I am yours. I am yours. I am yours. All my days, Jesus, I am yours. I am yours. I am yours. All my days, Jesus, I am yours. I'm yours, I'm yours forever. I'm yours forever. I'm yours forever. Oh. I'm yours forever. I'm yours forever. I'm yours forever. Oh, love came. 'Cause love came down and rescued me. Love came down and set me free. I am yours. Here is love, vast as the ocean, loving kindness as the flood. When the Prince of Life, our ransom, shed for us his precious blood, who his love will not remember, who can cease to sing his praise. He will never be forgotten throughout heaven's eternal day. On the mount of crucifixion, fountains open deep and wide. Through the flood gates of God's mercies flow a vast and gracious tide. Grace and love like mighty rivers pour incessant from above. Heaven's peace and perfect justice kiss the guilty world in love. Who his love will not remember, who can cease to sing his praise. He will never be forgotten throughout heaven's eternal day. Who his love will not remember, who can cease to sing his praise. He will never be forgotten throughout heaven's eternal day. I will stay here with you and watch the world go by. In this moment with you for the rest of time. All my life here with you means more to you than anything. Wasting time spent on you is everything. I will wait until we pass through the door that leads me home. I will stay by you forever. Your love has made us one. I'm passing time with you, Jesus. I will spend my life on you, pouring out my love for you, Jesus. I will give it all just to be with you, just just to be with you. Jesus, just to be with you. Until we pass through the door that leads me home, I will stay by you forever. Your love has made us one. Oh Lord, you're beautiful. Your face is all I see. And when your eyes are on this child, your grace abounds to me. Oh Lord, please light the fire that once burned bright and clear. Replace the lamp of my first love that burns with holy fear. I wanna take your word and shine it all around, but first help me just to live it, Lord. And when I'm doing well, help me to never seek a crown, for my reward is giving glory to you. I wanna take your word and shine it all around, but first help me just to live it, Lord. And when I'm doing well, help me to never seek a crown, for my reward is giving glory to you. Oh Lord, you're beautiful. Your face is all I see. And when your eyes are on this child, your grace abounds to me. 'Cause your grace abounds to me. I really love you. I love you tonight. I really tonight. I really love you. I love you tonight. I really love you. I love you tonight.
Because I really love you.
I really love you. I love you tonight. I really love you. I love you tonight, Jesus. I really love you. I love you tonight. I really love you. I love you tonight. If my heart is overwhelmed and I cannot hear your voice, I hold on to what is true, though I cannot see. If the storms of life they come and the road ahead gets steep, I will lift these hands in faith. I will believe. I remind myself of all that you've done and the life I have because of your Son. Love came down and rescued me. Love came down and set me free. I am yours. I am forever yours. Mountain high or valley low, I sing out, remind my soul that I am yours. I am forever yours. When my heart is filled with hope and every promise comes my way, when I feel your hands of grace rest upon me, staying desperate for you, God, staying humbled at your feet, I will lift these hands and praise. I will believe. I remind myself of all that you've done and the life I have because of your Son. 'Cause love came down and rescued me. Love came down and set me free. I am yours. I am forever yours. Mountain high or valley low, I sing out, remind my soul that I am yours. I am forever
Though the darkness hides you
I am yours. I am yours. For all my days, Jesus, I am yours. I am yours. I am yours. All my days, Jesus, I am yours. I am yours. I am yours. All my days, Jesus, I am yours. I'm yours forever. I'm yours forever. I'm yours forever. Oh. I'm yours forever. I'm yours forever. I'm yours forever. Oh, love came. 'Cause love came down and rescued me. Love came down and set me free. I am yours. I am forever yours. Mountain high or valley low, I sing out, remind my soul that I am yours. I am forever yours. Here is love, vast as the ocean, loving kindness as the flood. When the Prince of Life, our ransom, shed for us his precious blood, who his love will not remember, who can cease to sing his praise. He will never be forgotten throughout heaven's eternal day. On the mount of crucifixion, fountains open deep and wide. Through the flood gates of God's mercies flow a vast and gracious tide. Grace and love like mighty rivers pour incessant from above. Heaven's peace and perfect justice kiss the guilty world in love. Who his love will not remember, who can cease to sing his praise. He will never who his love will not remember, who can cease to sing his praise. He will never be forgotten throughout heaven's eternal day. I will stay here with you and watch the world go by. In this moment with you for the rest of time. All my life here with you means more to you than anything. Wasting time spent on you is everything. I will wait until we pass through the door that leads me home. I will stay by you forever. Your love has made us one. I'm passing time with you, Jesus. I will spend my life on you, pouring out my love for you, Jesus. I will give it all just to be with you, just to be with you, Jesus, just to be with you. Until we pass through the door that leads me home, I will stay by you forever. Your love has made us one. Oh Lord, you're beautiful. Your face is all I see. And when your eyes are on this child, that once